You don't have to say anything. There is a silent attitude that makes a man think about you day and night. This sentence sounds like a well-kept secret, almost like a mystery that only a few women truly understand. Yet in the art of attraction and authentic connection, true power often lies in what remains unspoken, in what is communicated without words. Many women, in their desire to be seen and appreciated, fall into the trap of talking too much, explaining themselves excessively, or asking for attention, using words that create distance rather than closeness. But what if I told you that what truly touches a man deeply is not what you say, but the energy you radiate in silence? This quiet radiance, this attitude that does not need to be announced to be noticed, leaves a lasting impression on his heart and mind. Carl Jung, the famous psychologist, taught us that the unconscious reveals itself through gestures, glances, and pauses, that beyond all words exists a deeper language that reveals our true essence. When a woman inhabits this inner space of calm, security, and authenticity, she radiates a magnetic presence that no man can ignore. In this video, you will discover which silent attitude makes him think of you again and again, how it works within male psychology, and what concrete steps you can take to make this energy your natural ally. If you have ever felt that you give too much and receive little in return, or that your voice gets lost in the noise, then get ready to change this dynamic forever. Because the key does not lie in convincing him with words, but in embodying your inner strength with calm and mystery. In the end, this is not just a strategy to fascinate a man. It is a way to rediscover yourself, a form of self-love that becomes tangible in every look and every pause. And when that happens, he will not be able to help thinking about you, even when you say nothing. Part 1. The mistake many women make. When a woman is interested in a man, it is natural for her to want to show her feelings, explain her intentions, and express her affection. However, this need for communication often turns into an excess of words, into over-explaining or even unconsciously begging for attention and affection. This pattern, as common as it is, can be a major obstacle to true attraction and to a man developing genuine interest. Why? Because when we talk too much, especially with the intention of convincing, we emit an energy that signals not strength, but insecurity and inner restlessness. Excessive explanations make a man feel that we need his approval to feel valuable. And this insecurity, even if not spoken directly, shows in our voice, our gaze, and our entire presence. It is not attractive but rather off-putting. Carl Jung calls on us to reflect on the power of the unconscious, on what we express not with words but with our body, our pauses, and our glances. When a woman constantly justifies herself, she unconsciously shows an inner emptiness she is trying to fill with the man's attention. For a man, this attitude can be exhausting and unattractive because it signals emotional dependency rather than inner stability. And when a woman fills every silent moment with words, she loses her mystery. Yet it is precisely this mystery that is a strong magnet of attraction. When we leave space for imagination, for discovery, we awaken his curiosity. He wants to know more, experience more, understand more. But if we reveal too much, exposing all our vulnerability at once, his interest fades. There is nothing left to discover, nothing left to conquer. The important thing is this: it is not about being cold or dismissive, but about finding a balance. Our communication should be genuine, but come from inner security, not from lack. Speaking less does not mean suppressing your feelings, but choosing carefully what, when, and how you say it, so that your energy remains clear, strong, and captivating. The woman who masters this art does not try to convince with words. She simply shows herself as she is, with inner confidence. And that is what evokes a much deeper and more lasting interest. Her silence is meaningful. Her calmness is magnetic. And this combination makes a man feel drawn to her, makes him want to know more, and, above all, makes him respect the space she grants herself. So if you have ever felt frustrated because you said everything and he still didn't respond, or because you feel like you give too much and receive too little in return, then it is time to rethink your strategy. Learn to let go of the fear of not being understood and trust in the power of your silent presence. True attraction does not arise from pressing words, but from an energy that is authentic, mature, and secure. Remember, too many words can repel, but calmness and mystery attract. A man does not seek just a woman who talks a lot, but one who speaks from her center, who knows when it is time to remain silent, and who respects herself without depending on his approval. That is the first step to not only being noticed by him, but to staying in his thoughts, fascinated and deeply touched by an attitude that many do not understand, but everyone feels. Part 2. What is the silent attitude? The silent attitude does not simply mean staying quiet or avoiding conversations. It is a form of presence that goes far beyond words, an inner energy that radiates security, calmness, and self-acceptance without exaggerated gestures or constant explanations. When a woman embodies this attitude, she becomes an invisible magnet. She attracts without trying because her power comes from within and not from what she outwardly does or says. Imagine a woman who feels comfortable in her own skin, who does not need external validation to feel complete. She does not cling to every reaction from a man, nor does she chase his attention as if it were her last chance. She is simply there, calm, centered, with a peace that shows in her gaze, in her posture, and in the way she responds to the world. Carl Jung spoke of the process of individuation, the path to becoming the authentic person we truly are, free from masks, fears, and societal conditioning. This individuation is the foundation of the silent attitude. A woman who has done this inner work does not need to be loud to be heard. This attitude does not mean suppressing feelings or acting indifferent. On the contrary, it means feeling deeply, and yet consciously deciding how to express those feelings. Instead of reacting impulsively, she responds with clarity and inner balance. She is not guided by fear or fear of loss, because she knows her worth is independent of external attention. The silent attitude also shows in the way she deals with space and time. She is not afraid of moments of silence. She enjoys them as necessary pauses that allow true connection. She does not need to fill every space to maintain a relationship. Her emotional calmness creates an atmosphere in which a man feels challenged, fascinated, and deeply moved because he senses not everything is immediately accessible. From a psychological perspective, this is exactly the dynamic of true attraction. It does not arise from pressure or neediness, but from mutual respect and from the silent admiration that emerges when someone truly values themselves. A woman who is at peace within radiates that, and it can neither be faked nor forced. That is why this silent attitude is not just a means to attract a man. It is a way of living that enriches all relationships, especially the one with yourself. Because when you cultivate this inner calmness and security, you become stronger, more authentic, and less vulnerable to emotional games or disappointments. Imagine how everything changes when you stop chasing attention and instead simply receive it because you have created a space that invites it. When your self-worth no longer depends on what he says or does, but is an inner, unshakable fact. That is the essence of the silent attitude, not trying to fill external voids, but being inwardly fulfilled and radiant. And when this inner light shines, no words can match its power. Part 3. The power of non-verbal language. All too often we underestimate the impact of non-verbal communication. Yet it is precisely there that the key to the deepest and most irresistible connection lies. When you adopt the silent attitude, it is not only your silence that attracts, but every glance, every movement, every subtle detail you express without words. Carl Jung taught that the unconscious reveals itself through our nonverbal behavior, through our gaze, our movements, the tone of our voice, and even the rhythm of our breathing. All these subtle expressions often communicate more than any conversation. Therefore, it is crucial to become aware of your own body language and presence in order to truly embody the silent attitude. Let's start with the gaze. It is not about looking fixedly or intensely, but authentically, softly, with curiosity and acceptance. A woman who looks without fear and without judgment radiates confidence. Such a gaze which says, "I am here, I am real, and I have nothing to prove," evokes genuine interest in a man because it enables a deeper connection. Then there is the smile, but not just any smile, rather that light, natural smile that does not arise from a desire to please or achieve something. An almost invisible, quiet smile has a hypnotic effect because it is genuine. It comes from inner well-being and signals, "I feel good within myself." This kind of smile touches deeply without a single word being spoken. Another key aspect is listening. True listening does not mean waiting for your turn to speak, but being fully present. When you listen attentively without interrupting or judging, you send a clear message. "I value what you are saying." This attitude invites him to open up because he feels that no masks are necessary with you. A light, natural touch, a brief contact on his arm or hand, can also have a deeper effect than many words. But this contact should not be forced or calculated. It should be spontaneous and relaxed. An invitation to closeness, not an attempt to force anything. Tone of voice also plays an important role. A calm, gentle voice, clear and unhurried, conveys security. Avoid shrill or nervous tones. They often unconsciously carry restlessness and neediness. A balanced way of speaking, on the other hand, creates trust and closeness. And finally, posture. A woman who stands upright, who claims her space without making herself small, radiates self-worth and inner strength. Relaxed shoulders, a raised head, slow flowing movements. All signal, "I am fully here with myself." All these elements create a silent symphony that a man perceives on an unconscious level. This is not about manipulation, but about standing in your own truth with genuine presence. When your body speaks from an inner source of strength, attraction becomes a natural consequence. In practice, this means observe yourself. What does your gaze say when he talks to you? Is your smile genuine or forced? Are you truly listening or just waiting for your turn to speak? Even small changes in your nonverbal expression can profoundly shift how he perceives you, because nonverbal behavior is the gateway to his unconscious. It is there that the strongest and most authentic feelings arise. A silently embodied attitude creates a space he wants to remain in, not because he has to, but because he feels invited to discover you layer by layer. That is why mastering this language is so crucial, not to get him, but to create a deeper, more respectful connection. Part 4. Why this works. Insights into male psychology. To understand why the silent attitude has such a strong effect on men, we need to look into male psychology, an area often overlooked or misunderstood. The way men think, feel, and respond to a woman who radiates calmness and mystery is not accidental. It is deeply linked to their nature and emotional mechanisms. First of all, you must understand that men tend to value what they cannot control or predict. In a world where many women try to convince through words, explanations, or constant declarations, a silent, confident attitude is like an oasis of mystery. It fascinates and attracts. This silence acts like an empty space that the male mind wants to fill with curiosity and desire. When there is no over-explaining, a man feels challenged to discover more and invest energy to truly get to know you. From Jung's perspective, the male unconscious is drawn to what cannot be reduced to the obvious. A woman who does not fully reveal herself, who carries secrets within her aura and does not need to validate herself through words, speaks directly to the archetype of feminine mystery deeply connected to his instinctive and emotional self. Moreover, men strongly react to authenticity. The silent attitude is not about playing disinterested or acting artificially scarce. It is about a true connection with your inner center, your self-worth, and your inner security. When this energy radiates wordlessly, he feels it as genuine and powerful. This creates respect, and respect is the foundation for depth and longevity in any relationship. Male psychology also shows that men often fear losing control during the pursuit. When a woman is not immediately accessible or does not send clear signals of neediness, a man feels encouraged to put in more effort to earn his place. The silent attitude creates a balanced tension between closeness and distance, keeping his interest alive without him feeling like everything is already won. Another key point: men do not always process emotions verbally. They respond more to impulses, images, body language. This is why nonverbal communication is so powerful. Feminine calmness and mystery send signals directly into his subconscious, activating attraction and respect, often without him being able to explain it consciously. At the same time, this attitude protects you from toxic dynamics like codependency or emotional chasing. When a woman does not cling, beg, or constantly seek validation, a healthy connection arises, not out of need, but out of freedom. And it is exactly this freedom that is magnetic. Neediness repels, emotional independence attracts. Psychologically, this also involves the so-called effect of controlled uncertainty. When a man does not know exactly what to expect or how you will respond, it puts him in a state of positive alertness. He pays more attention to details, makes more effort, looks for clues, and wants to understand you better. Silence and inner calmness form the ideal basis for this effect, because you do not fill every space with words, but leave room for his imagination. Finally, the respect that this attitude evokes changes not only him, but also you. When you act from your center, from inner peace, and without fear of rejection, a positive cycle is created. He respects you more, and you strengthen your self-worth even further. In summary, male psychology clearly shows why the silent attitude is so powerful. It speaks to deeper levels of desire, respect, and authenticity. It is not an external tactic, but an expression of your inner value, a value that does not need loudness to be heard. Part 5. How to practice this attitude. Practical tips. Now that you understand why the silent attitude is so effective, the question is, how can you live it authentically without seeming distant or artificial? Developing this attitude means more than simply being quiet. It is a deeper form of self-connection, an inner state of security and clarity. Speak less, listen more. In many situations, we feel the urge to fill silence with words, through explanations, justifications, or impulsive reactions. Often this is an expression of inner insecurity. But when you learn to restrain this impulse, an aura of calm and mystery arises, which invites him to truly want to discover you. Listen actively and be present. True listening without interrupting, without internally preparing your response, creates closeness. You not only understand him better, but you also show him that he is truly heard. This silent attentiveness has a deep effect because it is so rare. Breathe consciously before you respond. A deep breath before your answer works wonders. It signals inner calm, self-control, and emotional maturity. This small pause radiates sovereignty and protects you from reacting too quickly or justifying yourself. 4. Learn to enjoy silence. Many people fear silence because they associate it with emptiness or discomfort. But in truth, silence is an expression in itself of strength, depth, and respect. Practice not bridging silence, but allowing it, because it is often in these very moments that true connection happens. Another important aspect is smiling with natural ease, without feeling the need to explain every signal. A subtle smile, a gentle gaze, or a small gesture can express more than hours of conversation. These nonverbal signs convey security, openness, and genuine interest, all without words. A more advanced step is to cultivate your self-worth from within. The silent attitude unfolds its full power only when combined with real self-love. This means you do not need external validation to feel valuable. When you accept and love yourself, your energy becomes more stable and authentic, and this immediately shows in your presence. Work on recognizing your strengths, forgiving yourself for past mistakes, and valuing yourself unconditionally. Also, practice emotional and physical self-care. Take care of your health, your appearance, and make time for your hobbies, friends, and personal development. When you lead a fulfilled life, you radiate independence and wholeness, a combination that men find deeply attractive. Learn to set clear boundaries and to respect them. The silent attitude does not mean being passive or letting everything slide. On the contrary, it means recognizing when to withdraw and not wasting your energy on situations that do not serve you. These quiet, decisive boundaries show self-respect and teach others how you wish to be treated. Setting boundaries without drama strengthens your inner power. And lastly, this attitude is not a mask, nor is it a game of manipulation. It is an expression of your authenticity and honesty with yourself and with others. When you feel that you do not need to pretend to be liked, your energy begins to vibrate on a higher level. And it is precisely this energy that he cannot let go of. In summary, practicing the silent attitude means connecting deeply with yourself, speaking through your presence, your gaze, and your energy, rather than out of fear. Part 6. What happens within him when you embody this attitude? When a woman adopts this silent, magnetic attitude, not only does her aura change, but also the way he perceives and responds to her. The male psyche reacts particularly strongly to subtle, profound signals, far more than to direct words or explanations. First, he becomes curious. The calmness and silence you radiate invite him to want to know more. He does not have complete answers about you. And that is exactly what awakens his true desire to get closer, to discover your inner world. This curiosity is not superficial. It arises from fascination with something real, mysterious, and unique. In a world full of relationships where everything is revealed too quickly, the woman who remains a little elusive stands out. She creates a constant longing in him. Second, he starts to invest more. When you speak less, do not appear desperate, and are not immediately available, he feels that he must earn your attention and trust. This challenges him emotionally, and this feeling of having to make an effort not only increases his interest, but also his emotional attachment. Your silence becomes a space he wants to remain in. He seeks ways to connect with you on a deeper level, because you convey that not everyone has access to your inner world, that you are not trying to fill an emotional void, and that you do not accept just any behavior. This makes him feel your worth and often awakens genuine admiration. Psychologically, your attitude activates a projection mechanism. He begins to fill the empty spaces with his own desires, longings, and fantasies, because you do not reveal everything. In his mind, he creates an idealized version of you, nourished by your silent aura. This projection is a strong psychological force that binds him emotionally. And when you remain true to this attitude, his respect for you grows. You are no longer seen as someone who constantly needs validation, but as a complete woman who loves herself and takes care of herself. And this triggers in him the need to be on your level, to make an effort, to become more mindful. This respect translates into behavior that is more attentive, gentle, and genuine, because you do not sell yourself short. In many cases, the silent attitude also leads him to reflect on his own feelings and behavior. Because there are no immediate answers or impulsive reactions from your side, he is forced to really listen to himself. What does he feel? What does he want with you? This inner process often leads him to make more conscious and mature decisions, because the mystery you radiate demands depth and authenticity. And something very important, when you embody this attitude, you do not only change how he sees you, you change the entire dynamic of the relationship. You are no longer available for manipulation or emotional dependency. You become a woman who knows her worth and acts from her center, from her soul. This inner transformation is what he cannot let go of, because he feels you are not just attractive. You have an aura that challenges and deeply moves him at the same time. In short, the silent attitude is not a strategy to get him. It is an authentic way of life that evokes respect, true desire, and deep curiosity within him. When you learn to communicate more with your presence than with your words, your energy becomes irresistible. He begins to see you as something unique, as a woman he simply cannot let go of, because he feels that there is something real, valuable, and deep within you. Conclusion. Sometimes true seduction does not lie in speaking loudly or putting feelings into words, but in whispering with the energy you radiate, with the calmness you maintain, with the power of your silence. When you adopt this silent-centered attitude, you do not just transform yourself, you change the entire way he perceives and feels you. He starts to seek you out, to respect you, to think of you even when no one is talking about you. You do not have to beg for love or explain your feelings, because your calm, mysterious, and authentic aura says more than 1,000 words. This silent energy shows him that you are a woman who knows her worth, who does not sell herself short. And it is precisely this that drives him crazy about you. Remember, you do not need to fill the space with words to be desirable or valuable. Your power lies in inhabiting your truth, in staying centered, and radiating from there without fear, without haste. When you have mastered this, he will not only want to stay with you, he will learn to cherish and love you in a new, deeper way. Have you ever experienced the power of silence in your relationships? What changes did you notice in him? Write to me in the comments. Your experience might help other women discover this silent attitude that truly changes everything.